All right, let's dive into one of the most powerful poems you'll ever read about a city, William Blake's London. This isn't some quaint little tourist guide from 1794. Oh, no. It is an absolutely brutal takedown of power, corruption, and the suffering Blake saw on every single street corner.
You can almost picture Blake as a detective, right? He's walking the beat, looking for clues, trying to solve a citywide crime. So the big question is, what did he find?
So the poem kicks off with our narrator just wandering. No real destination in mind, just walking. But you gotta pay attention to this one word he uses, chartered. He says it twice, and believe me, that's no accident. It's our first major clue.
And this is where things get really interesting right from the get-go. Chartered means everything is owned, mapped out, totally controlled by laws and documents. But then, boom, he puts it right next to the chartered Thames. A river. A river is supposed to just flow, right? It's wild and free. So Blake is setting up this epic clash from line 1, human rules versus the natural world.
Okay, so our narrator is walking through this super-controlled city. What does he see? You'd think it'd be all orderly and prosperous, right? Nope, not even close. What he finds is just a city drowning in misery.
And this next line, it's just genius. The word mark is doing double duty here. First, our narrator marks, he notices the sadness on every single face he meets, but it's also like these people are physically marked, like they're branded by their suffering. The city itself has literally scarred them.
And now Blake just starts hitting us with it one after another, building this overwhelming sense of despair. He wants you to feel just how widespread this is. First, you hear it in the cry of every man. But it goes deeper. It's not just the adults. It's in every infant's cry of fear. Just think about that for a second. A baby's first sound isn't joy. It's pure terror.
And then he brings it all together. He hears it in every voice and in every ban, all the rules and restrictions holding people down. He just keeps repeating that word, every, driving home this point that there is absolutely no escape. This pain is everywhere for everyone.
So, okay, we get it. Everyone is miserable. But why? Where is all this pain coming from? This is where the poem takes a turn. Blake stops just showing us the problem and starts pointing fingers. He's about to unmask the villains.
And here it is. This is probably the most famous line in the entire poem. It's the core of his whole argument. He doesn't see actual physical chains on people. No, what he hears is something way, way more sinister.
These mind-forged manacles, they're chains, right? But they're made in the mind. They're forged from all the rules, the traditions, the religious dogma that the people in power create. And what's so scary is that people have bought into it. They've internalized these restrictions so much that they've essentially locked themselves up. They might be free on paper, but in their heads, they are prisoners.
And Blake isn't shy about who's behind all this. He doesn't just vaguely blame the system. He names names. He points to 2 major institutions that he says are busy forging these mental chains.
First up, the church. And his example is just gut-wrenching. He talks about the chimney sweeper's cry. We're talking about little kids, often orphans, that the church was supposed to be looking after. And their suffering, Blake says, appalls the church.
And that word choice, blackening church, is just perfect. Because yeah, the church buildings were literally turning black from all the industrial pollution and soot, but Blake means it's morally black too. It's stained by its own hypocrisy, It's more concerned with its grand buildings than with its actual duty to care for the most vulnerable.
All right, so after the church, who's next? Blake takes aim at the state, at the palace, and the image he paints is, well, it's brutal.
I mean, this is more than just pretty words. This is a full-on political attack. Blake is screaming that the comfort and luxury of the monarchy are bought with the blood of regular people. That soldier's sigh, it's not just air, it's his lifeblood, and it's staining the very walls of the palace that sent him to die. Wow.
So you've got these corrupt institutions. What happens next? What's the end game? Well, in the final stanza, Blake shows us. Society is so broken that it's just destroying itself from the inside out. It's a terrifying, vicious cycle.
And the final images are just bleak. It's midnight. We hear a young prostitute's curse. And this curse is so powerful, it blasts the newborn infant's tear. Instead of a mother's love at birth, you have a curse. It turns this moment that should be sacred into something just awful and bitter. And then comes the final punch to the gut. The last 2 words of the poem are,
marriage hearse. A marriage hearse. He mashes together this symbol of love and new beginnings, marriage, with the symbol of death and endings, a hearse. His point is that everything, even love and family, has become corrupted. It's been twisted into a vehicle for death thanks to poverty and disease.
So this vision is incredibly dark, right? But how does Blake make it stick with you? Well, this is the really clever part. He uses the form of the poem itself as a weapon. The structure is meant to make you, the reader, feel just as trapped as the people in London.
Just look at how this thing is built. It's so rigid. Every stanza is 4 lines. The rhyme scheme is a super strict A-B-A-B. The rhythm just marches along, thump, 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 like footsteps on pavement or a prison guard's patrol. It's relentless. The form is the message. It's a box. It's a trap. There's no way out.
And beyond the structure, he's got a few other tricks up his sleeve. You've got that intense repetition, right? Chartered, every. He drills those words into your head. He uses these huge, loaded symbols, the church, the palace. And he makes it all so sensory. It's all about what he hears and what he sees, which drops us right into the scene with him.
So you have to ask, why are we still talking about this poem more than 200 years later? Why does it still hit so hard? I think it's because Blake wasn't just complaining about his London. He was getting at something much bigger, something timeless about power and control.
And that's really the big takeaway here, the question he leaves us with. Blake was able to see the invisible chains of his day, the ideas and systems that kept people down. Which makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are our mind-forged manacles today?